A lot taller than you.
I'm only little mummy. A little mummy. You're like mummies, Albert. Right, everybody coming in.
Hello everybody and welcome to this very special video with a Q&A with my mother. Mother Wild. This video is going to be I ask you questions and you have to answer them the best you can, and you're not allowed to hold back or anything, so if they are really embarrassing and bad you get to answer them. So do you want to explain to the people who you are, where you're from and where you've lived in the world?
Okay.
Basically.
I'm Mum Wild, or better known as Vivian Prescott, and I was born in High Wycombe.
That's in England, but
yes, that's in England.
Whereabouts in England is that?
In Buckinghamshire. It's about 30 miles away from London. That's kind of area, just outside London, but doesn't. When I was growing up, it didn't feel like London. It was very rural, very lovely. And then from High Wycombe we moved to Manchester. I don't really remember too much about that. Then when I was 3 years old we moved to South Africa with Grandpa's work, and we lived out in Johannesburg for a few years, and my brother went to school out there. I was too young for school, and then we came home when I was 6 and we moved back to High Wycombe, but we lived with my grandmother because Grandpa stayed out in South Africa for a little bit longer, which was horrible, very hard, because I missed my daddy very much. And so then I moved to Wales, to North Wales, and started my training. You did not know that? Did you not know? It was lovely. Oh, North Wales is gorgeous. North Wales, where I started my training as a riding instructress.
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 Is that what you call it? Instructress?
Well, I'm a female, aren't I? So it's instructress. Or riding instructor, I don't mind. In this time of equal opportunities, I should be a riding instructor. I'm quite happy. Then from there, I realised that my life was taking a different turn, and I felt called to full-time ministry in the church. And my church is the Salvation Army, and so it was natural for me then to go and train as a Salvation Army officer. And so I moved to London, to Denmark Hill, and that's where I was in training for 2 years. Then I was commissioned and ordained, and then I was posted to a little village in West Yorkshire called Kinsley. And while I was at Kinsley, I happened to go to Sheffield for a big Salvation Army meeting, and there I met your dad, who sang a solo and kind of won my heart through his singing. And somebody's at the door because the dog's barking.
Shut up!
To cut a long story short, we started to court and we got married. And your dad was in the training college in London, so they moved me from Kinsley, West Yorkshire, down to London so that I could be near your dad, and I was stationed in Wandsworth, South London. Yeah.
Now it's starting to make sense.
Yeah, beginning to make sense. A bit of a long, drawn-out story, this, isn't it? So then, because I'm really, really old, so I've done lots of stuff, you see. So then, your dad and I got married. He was commissioned and ordained, and we were both then posted to Wandsworth to serve together as the officers there. And that's where I conceived you, and you were born in St George's Hospital in Tooting, just outside Wandsworth. And that's when you came into the world.
Yay.
On the 3rd of May, 1991. Gave me all sorts of troubles.
It's a long time ago
It was a
now.
long time ago, yeah.
So I think it's time we go on to the questions that you guys asked, because I went onto Facebook and I asked you guys to ask any questions for my mother, to ask about me or in general, and we got some interesting questions.
Yeah.
Some of them are a bit weird, but some of them are funny and some of them are nice. So let's get started with the first question. Romina asks, did Jord ever give you a hard time as an infant whilst changing his diapers?
Well, not me a hard time actually. He was a very good boy, and I'm ignoring the connotations behind the question. But I do remember on a couple of occasions when his dad was changing his nappy and he whipped off the old nappy and Jordan weed straight up into his face, which wasn't very pleasant, but I found it absolutely hilarious. Had far much more respect for his mother. Oh, we'll tell you, you did give a hard time to your Auntie Sue, Susan Lumley. I'm quite well endowed, but my friend Sue is as flat as a post. And she changed Jordan's nappy and stood him up, and he looked at her flat chest with real confusion, then leapt forward, pulled her t-shirt forward, peered down it and said, "All gone." She wasn't happy. She wasn't happy at all. Poor Sue.
Brittany Rourke asks, show us an adorable picture.
I've got a few to show you. That's him cuddled up with his daddy. They're having a snooze together. Jordan doing what he used to really enjoy. The telly wasn't on, he'd just sit and watch the washing machine go around quite happily. This is one that was taken at our friend's wedding. Look at the eyes on my boy. How beautiful was he? Same wedding in his sailor suit.
Sailor suit.
Oh, the nice girls are like a sailor. And this is a sequence of pictures that I took playing with my pot pourri. That's one. And then his favourite teddy was with him, always. Teddy comes off worst, unfortunately. Teddy ends up wearing potpourri all over little Teddy's head. Isn't he beautiful?
What do you mean, what? And the final one, me and my
There's some
dad.
naked pictures of you, actually. I've just realised. A lot of naked pictures of my boy. Interesting family.
That's me with my dad,
Yeah.
with my butt hanging out.
Beautiful butt.
Roberto Menti, I can't even say your last name, I've never actually learned it because it's foreign. But Roberto asks, what's the craziest experience Mr. George Wilde has ever had with an animal?
With an animal? He has some very interesting experiences with Hampu.
Hampo?
Hampu! Hampu
Where's
is here. Hampu is here for
Hampu
the
is over
filming
there.
because Hampu likes to be involved in most things. You did horse riding for a while, didn't you? And then you gave horse riding up. He gave it up, and when I said to him, why don't you want to go riding anymore? He said, I don't think sitting on a friend's back is the way you treat a friend.
Florian asks, did Jordan ever pee his pants as a child?
Yes.
No.
Oh,
As a teenager? As a teenager?
no.
No. Okay, so my friend Jade has asked a few questions. She wants to know first, what was the most embarrassing thing he's ever done to you? What are your favourite things about him? And Mama Wild, will you adopt me?
Oh. I don't know that he's really ever embarrassed me because he's a real pleasure to have as a son. But I can do remember once when I think I may have embarrassed him. We were late for school because we are always late for most things as a family. But we were particularly late for school this morning when we lived in Wandsworth. And we were running down the hill to get him into school. And I tripped and I fell. And I mean, I really, really fell. I went flying, I went splat. And I landed in such a way that it kind of took my breath away, and it took me a while to sort of get myself together. Yeah, I got winded. And he stood over me, and instead of saying, oh, Mummy, are you all right? Oh, let me help you, Mummy. He said, get up, get up now. My friends are looking, get up now. So I kind of got myself up like that. And as we walked into school, me limping, he said, don't you ever do that to me again. Full of compassion, you are.
Your favourite things about him?
One of my favourite things about him, I have lots of things because he's my boy, and so he's perfect in my eyes, of course. One of the things I love about him is his loyalty. If you're his friend, he will be loyal to you till the day he dies, because that's who he is. I can remember when he was at primary school being called into school to see the teacher because he'd been in trouble that day, and he was never in trouble. Trouble plenty when he got to secondary school, unfortunately, but at primary school he was never in trouble. He was a model student, and they called me in because he'd been in trouble. And what had happened is that he'd been swimming, and one of Jordan's friends at the time was a boy who was quite overweight, And the time came for them to get out of the pool, and Jordan got out of the pool, but his friend was having trouble getting out of the pool, and he got very distressed. So Jordan got back in the pool to be with his friend and to help him, because he didn't like to see his friend so distressed. And the swimming tutor was yelling at Jordan to get out of the pool, and Jordan refused to leave his friend in the pool until his friend was safely out. And he got in trouble for that. And so I got called into the school, and I'll never forget the head teacher saying to me, I've had to call you in because he has to be disciplined for this, because he should have done as the tutor said, for health and safety reasons. He should have got out of the pool, he should have left his friend. He said he didn't do as he was told, and it caused a health and safety issue. She said, but I have to say to you, she said, as his school and as his head teacher, we're really, really proud of your son. So that was lovely. And he's always marched to the tune of his own drum. He's never been a pack animal. He's never been somebody who's been influenced by anybody else's ideas. He's done what he wants to do, and he's done it his way, and that's always made me very proud of him.
And will you adopt me?
I don't know you. Probably. I expect so.
I'd like you to.
Would you?
Yeah.
Then definitely. Consider yourself adopted.
There you go, Jade. Jesse Anderson asks, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being traumatizing and 10 being very traumatizing, how bad is it being put up with George Wilde?
Sometimes 1 and sometimes 10. Is that a cop out? That's the best you're getting, Jesse.
Kirsty Stone says, did she always know she'd have a damn awesome son that likes pink onesies and face masks?
Yeah, totally. He's my son, after all. How could he possibly be normal?
I'm not ashamed of my sexuality. I'm very comfortable.
Yeah, absolutely so. We are who we are.
CJ Holbrook asks, how does she feel about her son being a YouTuber?
Very proud. It's good. Get a proper job.
Shane Saunders asks, shag, marry or kill? Hugh Jackman, Christian Bale or Robert Downey Jr.?
The only one of those I know is Robert Downey Jr. Who are the others?
Steve asks, why did you drive into my car? Do you want to explain the story on that one?
Because it was very early in the morning, and my youngest son had dragged me out of bed to get him to the bus stop before he missed the bus. And because I'm a good mummy, I got up and got in my car, half asleep, and reversed into Steve's car. Sorry, Steve.
Jesse Wyatt asks, do you want Jordan to find a nice girl?
Yes, yes, 1,000 times yes. I want grandchildren, and I don't want to be too old to enjoy them. So please, if you're gorgeous, and if you're friendly, and if you know how to behave in public, and if you want children too, marry my son and give me grandchildren, please.
Andrew Mooney asks, do you think you should have ever had an abortion?
No! What would life be like without him? Come on now. Never entered my mind.
Yeah. So Kerry, you just asked a question and we're going to answer it live. So Kerry wants to know, can you please ask her from me what her proudest moment of you was?
There's lots of things that make me proud of him. I think his personality and his nature is to be a knight in shining armour, and he often rescues people in situations. He's a very loyal friend, as I said. He's a very good son, very caring son and grandson and brother, really. Even though they fight together, Jotham knows that if anybody ever hurt him, then his big brother would answer for that. And he's just delightful, really. I'm proud of what he's achieved with his music and with his YouTubing, and he never ceases to surprise me.
Well, that's all the questions that we have. So thank you everyone who asked a question, and thank you. Thank you for answering the questions.
My pleasure. I'll talk about my kids.
So if you guys want to see a video like this again, make sure to leave a like and a comment saying you want to see it again, and maybe I'll interview my dad or something. And that'll be quite good. So thanks again for watching. Joe, do you want to say anything?
My other son. Aww. My boys, my boys. One proud mummy. Thanks, darling.
But yeah, thank you all for watching, and I shall see you very soon. Bye bye!
Bye!